Hi, today we are going to go over Rapunzel. We're going to go over the history a little bit and the story. So let's get into the video. So hopefully you all are familiar with the Disney version of Rapunzel, you know, where she was locked away in a tower and had hair and would let her hair down and, you know, yada yada. Okay, so they think that the hair comes from a Persian poem that comes from the Book of Kings. I will go ahead and put it in, I'll flash it up ahead because I can't say the Persian name of the book. I'm sorry, I would totally butcher that. And it was by Ferdos. Again, I'm sorry. And 977 AD, and it's where a woman would let her hair down and to let her lover climb up it. There are many versions of Rapunzel. Some, one of the differences is the flower. It was the Rapunzel flower or parsley. Some of the stories it's an org instead of an enchantress. They're mostly based in Italy. A lot of the stories are written in Italy. So a lot of people think that the Rapunzel story is based off of Saint Barbara. And Saint Barbara is a real person, I guess. You can look it up. And was considered a saint. I got many different stories about her when I was reading. Not every single resource had the same exact story. You know what I'm saying? So they were all different, unfortunately, which made this a little bit challenging. So I just kind of picked the most common one, and that was that St. Barbara was really beautiful, and she had a lot of men wanting her. And her dad, he had to go away a lot on some sort of trips, and he would lock her in a tower to keep suitors away from her. He, this is back in the day, so he was to pick who she married. Now, they were of the pagan religion, and this is where I need to again tell you a disclaimer. These stories are dark, gruesome a little bit, and also religious. So click out if any of that bothers you. But anyways, so they're of the pagan religion. And one time while she was locked up in this tower, because that's where he put her, and the only way up the tower was through a window, and her dad would have his workers send up food and things like that to her so she could obviously eat while he was away. And so I guess one of the people who was feeding her was Christian, and Christianity was illegal. Okay, so you weren't allowed to have that religion, and you would get in trouble for it. But this guy, he sent up a Bible in her food, and she started reading the Bible and decided she didn't want to ever get married and that she wanted to dedicate her life to Christ. And when her dad found out, he took her to the Roman courts because he was pissed, and he turned on his daughter. And the Roman courts, they decided to torture her. They cut her skin and they put salt in the wounds, and then her dad chopped her head off. So that's a true story, or based off of Saint Barbara history, who was a saint or is still a saint. There was so much mixed, conflicting information. So that's what a lot of people think Rapunzel is based off of, because it was a tower, there was, male suitors. All of those things make people think that that's what, it was based off of. Now, what I could find, I could be wrong, please, this was a really interesting story to try to research, but what I found was that the first version of Rapunzel was written in 1634 by Gambetta in Italy. I will go ahead and flash that up there too, because I know that I failed. And then the Grimm brothers, and there were other versions of Rapunzel throughout the ages, like I told you, mostly Italy based, but there were other countries that also did stories of Rapunzel. But the Grimm brothers, the popular, fairy tale people, they wrote about Rapunzel in 1812 originally, and then the final version was written in 1857. And so I'm going to go over the 1857 version because that was the one that I could find. Mostly I could find the 1812, and the differences between 1812 and 1857 didn't seem like super big. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the story after that long history. Hopefully that you wanted to hear about that. So, a man and a woman really wanted a child. They wanted a child so bad. That was their dream. And they lived in this cottage, and out their window was this garden, and there was a tall fence, and you're not supposed to go over the fence because it was the enchantress. I can't say it. It was the enchantress. That word is so hard for me, so you guys are just gonna have to bear with me. It was the enchantress garden, and so there was a fence, and nobody went over there because you're not supposed to. Anyways, it was a high tower and a high wall over the garden and stuff. So one day the woman was like, I really need that rampion. I'll spell it up there, Rampion. I actually had to look it up. It's a kind of like a lettuce. We eat it like spinach. And now this is where I found a couple differences. In some of the other stories, it was Rapunzel, and that's where Rapunzel got her name. And other stories, it was parsley. Yeah, it was parsley. And this one, I'm pretty sure they called it rampion. And the woman's like, told her husband, I need that rampion right now, or I'm going to die, basically. And at this point, it doesn't say she's pregnant, but I think she's pregnant. And that's why she's like, go cross the tower, go cross the gate and possibly die because I need this food, those pregnancy cravings. I don't know. That's what I'm assuming. So her husband, wanting to please his wife, went over there, and he got her some and brought it back, and she ate it. And they kind of described her like eating it super greedily. and she needed more. She wanted more. That wasn't enough, so she sent her husband back over to get it. And this time, the enchantress, I'm so sorry, found him, and she was really mad. And he's like, I'm sorry, my wife is just, she's really, really hungry. Like, she's hungry. I've got to feed her. And she's like, her anger kind of went away. And she's like, okay, you can take all of it as you want, as long as you give me the child that you will have. And the man doesn't actually believe that she's being serious, and he's like, I guess, kind of scared. So he agrees to give her their child. Yeah. So as soon as she has this baby, the enchantress, I'm sorry, okay, I'm so sorry, shows up and takes the baby and gave the child the name Rapunzel. When the child turned 12, she was beautiful, and she locked her away in the tower. And the only way up the tower was with her hair. And there were no stairs. So every time the enchantress wanted up to her, she would say, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair for me. And I think she would say it like 3 times in a row. And she would let her hair down. Her hair was gold and finely spun. So, yes. One day, the Rapunzel was singing. And the king's son heard her singing, and he wanted in the tower, but couldn't find a way up in the tower. So every day he would come by and he would listen to her sing. I don't think Rapunzel really knows that this guy is listening to her at this point. But one day he saw the enchantress say, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair for me, and how she got up into the tower. So when she left, the king's son did that, and Rapunzel let him up. Rapunzel was really frightened at first, but then they immediately fell in love. Of course they did. And he proposed to her. So there's that. He said his heart had been stirred. And then he proposed, and he was young and handsome, and she said yes. She said, I can't get down, so every day you need to bring a scion of silk. I think so, like a single strand of silk every day, so she could build a ladder to get down. And so he came by every day when the enchantress was gone. One day she was letting the enchantress up, and Rapunzel asked her why she was so much harder to get up than the prince. And the enchantress lost her mind because she didn't know that was happening, and Rapunzel obviously was not supposed to be doing that. So she cut off Rapunzel's hair and took her to the desert where the king's son could not find her. And the enchantress waited for him, and she tells him that he will never see her again. But he, so she was basically threatening to hurt him, and he barely escaped with his life. But while he was running away, he fell, and 2 thorns went through his eyes, and he became blind. And that, the enchantress basically, it seemed like to me was like magical and kind of made that happen. So he was really sad that he lost his lover, and she was, she was gone. And so that upset him. And he basically survived in the woods on berries, and he wept that his lover was gone. So one day he came across Rapunzel in the desert. And she had had twins. She was living in a really bad living condition. She's in the desert, taking care of herself, I guess, just had his babies, apparently. And when she wept from seeing him, she cried into his eyes, one tear in each eye, apparently, and his eyes became clear again. So he took her back to the kingdom with, the kids, and everybody was happy that he was back, and I guess they accepted her with open arms. So the end. It's similar to Disney's Rapunzel, a little bit different. Again, I think that they did a pretty good job with the Disney version. I still just can't believe he said, sure, you can have my firstborn child. Even though, like, the story, like, in the beginning made it sound like that's what they wanted so bad, and kind of sounded like they were having trouble having a kid. I don't know. Like, why start the story off like they really, really want a kid? I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, that is the end of that story. It wasn't like super long or anything, but like I said, there was a lot of different versions, and some of them, the differences were really subtle, and some of them were a little bit bigger. Sometimes the enchantress was a fairy or an orc. The flower that they wanted to eat was a Rapunzel flower or some parsley, things like that. So anyways, I'm gonna go off camera and I'm gonna finish up my makeup, and then I'm going to come back and show you the finished look and just tell you what's on my face. If you are interested in seeing that, please stick around. It'll just be 1 minute for you. Hi, so this is the finished look. It's okay. I didn't put any lashes on, which is something I've been doing the last couple of days. It's been kind of nice. On my lips is the Black Moon Hazel. Now, I do have a video kind of roasting this brand. So if you want to see me roast this brand, you can see that video. Because my experience with them wasn't like super great. But I do like the colors of these lippies, but I'm not a big fan of the quality, and I don't like wearing them long term either. Moving on from that, on my eyes is the Natasha Denona Mini Gold Palette. First time using it. I'm not going to do a review on it, obviously, because that's not what this video is, but that's what's on my eyes. But I didn't feel like that gold shade was enough, so I threw on this Electric Unicorn. Oh my god, I love this so much, and I have recently just started pulling it out because I love it so much that I didn't use it, which is ridiculous. I paid $22 for this, and it's absolutely stunning. I don't think it's showing up like on camera, but I have to swatch it for you. Full lipping gorgeous. Anyways, I don't think it's like not picking up on camera how fucking stunning that shade is. It's spectacular. Okay, and it was worth the $22. It makes my eyes look it's so sparkly, okay? So it's the kind of sparkle I live for. And for my waterline, I use the NYX liner in Emerald City. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know which fairy tale I should do next. I'm probably gonna just do this once a month. That way it gives me a little bit of time to research and read and take notes and do the stuff that I need to. I don't have a whole shit ton of time to do these every week or anything like that. And my last one didn't get a lot of attention, so I don't know if this is even interesting to anybody. So I'm just kind of doing it for myself because I enjoy the stories and the history and all of that. So anyways, comment below about the story and what you think of it, and yeah, let me know which princess or which fairy tale I should do next, okay? Okay, bye!